Ready? Now. Okay. I think we're good.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to episode 2 of Buenos Dias.
Buenos dias. It has been a while.
I think it's been like 3 weeks.
It's been a long time. Last time in the first episode of Buenos Dias was in Los Angeles in our home. And we were packing still.
Had we started?
I think we had started packing just barely.
Barely.
Yeah. And it was very intense. And a lot more intense, I think, than we anticipated, which was why we haven't had another episode until now. So we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. We're going to talk about leaving LA. We're going to talk about being in Arizona and then coming from Arizona to Mexico. And then if we have time, we will talk about being in Mexico and kind of our first impressions.
We haven't even been here a week, so.
Yeah, it'll officially be a week tomorrow.
Yeah.
We landed here last Monday. And then prior to that, we're at Arizona for like a week. But yeah, do you want to, since our last episode, how was packing?
I know, it's crazy. So I think we started packing. Okay, so I think the movers came May 12th or 13th, which is crazy because that seems like years ago. And if you backtrack a bit, we started packing probably 10 days prior to that. Maybe not 10 days. Maybe
it was like
a
6
week.
days, 6 constant days of packing.
Yeah, so from the beginning of May, let's say like May 2nd, May 1st, we packed our apartment. We started packing everything little by little the week prior to the movers came. Because, do you want to add stuff?
No, yeah, I was going to say, it was a big undertaking because, and we've said this before, but because we were packing stuff to put into storage and then also separately.
So let's explain that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're here in Mexico and we obviously can't bring everything. We have a full-fledged home. So we have a bed, furniture, computers, desks, a lot of fitness equipment. We had a full-fledged gym.
We had a gym in our second bedroom.
Yeah. Treadmill, Peloton, weights. So we owned quite a bit of things over the years. Like coming from Chicago, we had a full U-Haul, and then we've gotten a lot more stuff since that. So with that said, we could not take all of that stuff. Obviously, it was not necessary to, but also would have cost a lot of money to even try to do something like that.
Yeah.
So we knew we were going to put stuff into storage, and we used a service called Clutter, which essentially combines storage with movers.
Yeah. We talked about them a little bit in the first episode.
Yeah. without pretty much knowing like obviously how they work. We'll get
Yeah.
into that a little bit, but
Yeah.
so going now back, we had to make numerous decisions throughout the packing process of what is coming with and what's going into storage, or are we going to get rid of this?
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot that I think we gave away.
Minus the bed frame.
Well, we'll get into that too.
But I don't know. We like definitely stood our ground and trying not to get rid of so many things because from our initial move from Chicago where we grew up, for those like first time listeners, to LA, we ended up doing a full sweep trying to get rid of the things we didn't need and then arrived to LA and probably like several months later, I think this happened to me more than you. I just rebought things I gave away. And I specifically like clothing for me. I mean, it's not really like of that importance and relevance, but I just don't like to throw my clothes out because I don't like to shop for new things. It's just, but whatever, that's a side bit. We kept basically everything, is the point of the story.
Yeah. And I think, because of that, the packing was very stressful
Yeah.
because it's easy to look at all the big stuff and be like, we're obviously not taking this. But when you start deciding, we knew we were only going to take 4 big suitcases because for those who don't know, when you fly in the majority of flights, you will typically have 2 big luggage per person with a carry-on and a personal item. And so the majority of our stuff had to live in these 4 suitcases. And it's not even a matter of being able to fit everything in the 4 suitcases because you could fit a lot. But it was a matter of making sure that most, if not all of those suitcases were under 50 pounds. And then when you start putting in a bunch of clothes, when you start putting in some of the tech equipment that I like
a microphone.
yes. And when you start putting in some cooking equipment that Rebecca obviously needs, like she brought her Vitamix and stuff, then the pounds start to really add up very quickly. And so that initially stressed us out because we had mentally planned to take a lot more. And just in the initial stages of packing the suitcases, we're like, it's not going to be possible. We kind of, honestly, in LA, gave up trying to figure that out right away. And we're just like, what do we want right now to take to Arizona? And then we can kind of make decisions from there. And I think once we did that, it was a little bit easier.
We ended up making so many decisions. Like, you think about the decisions you make in a single day. Talk about making like 100 micro decisions for like 2 to 3 weeks straight. Because like George mentions, we packed the big things, the furniture, the large treadmills, like the Peloton, these things that are just not going to come. But then you start getting into like the things that you personally care about. For George, that's a lot of tech. For me, that's the kitchen. And you obviously need clothing and the essentials. And we wanted to bring books because we're doing this for a full year. And so we're here in Mexico City for 6 months. But then you think about like, oh my God, the seasons change in Spain. And what am I going to want then? So we just decided it would be easier to take basically 2 car loads full of stuff from LA to Arizona. So we have our stuff in 2 places. And in Arizona, we have things that we will push
3
out.
places.
Yeah, I guess because we're here in Mexico. But so that's like where our things are that we are going to use in this full year away from the States. That made things, I think, we underestimated how stressful simply making decisions would be. It slows down the moving process so much because you have to talk with yourself, with your partner about what are we going to need? What am I specifically going to need personally in order for me to not feel homesick or like be able to function well? And of course, like the homesickness is always relevant.
It's also just goals too of
Yeah.
like, a lot of the kitchen stuff, it obviously has a certain level of comfort for you, but it also, you cook a lot though, which helps us save money.
Yeah.
So
that's also
like,
true.
and being like me mainly vegan, vegetarian, and you're real vegan, like it makes sense to cook at home.
Yeah.
So
It's also far healthier, which is like a whole other thing that I
yeah,
have
yeah.
going on.
But it's pretty much what I'm getting to is like, and with tech, it's like this doesn't make me, feel all warm and fuzzy, but I wanted it for the sake of this
Yeah.
and for us to be able to do this. So it's like there were certain decisions, like you said, that we had to do together. Sorry.
You're good.
And it was constant back and forth of like, I'm bringing this, now I'm not. I'm bringing this, now I'm not.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And yeah, but before we get into that, because that was more Arizona when we really started to feel like that, because like you said, we just came to a point where anything that we wanted for the whole year, like things that did either feel like warm and fuzzy for us or beneficial to certain goals that we had.
Yeah.
Or different, like we brought a pretty good amount of books just because you can bring a few here and then switch out the other ones. So we want to bring all that to Arizona, so it had a safe place, and it were things that we planned to pretty much use throughout the year, even if it's not here right now. And then everything that's in storage, we either just made the sacrifice of not bringing it at all, or we're like, we don't need this right now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, going back to LA and the final days of that, we pretty much we broke it up by each day. We essentially tried to do a different room or a different zone. And
Like the home edit.
like the home edit, I guess. Yeah. So it was like my office I did by myself because it was just like a ton of wires and like making sure it was organized, which luckily, I was able to do that. And then we did the kitchen together, which was insane just because, both of us have a lot of stuff, but you have a lot of actual kitchen supplies, like a billion pots and pans, little tiny, like, tools that you're going to use for a random thing, whether it's baking or...
I miss them. I miss my baking.
Well, yes.
But yes, I have them. They're all precious to me, though.
Yes. And then it's like the closets, having to pack all of that. And so each day we tried to do a different area, which I feel like was successful. It was stressful, but we accomplished each day one by one, each room one by one. And then where I think it really got stressful was when clutter actually arrived. Yeah. And I think it was a Thursday. I think it was May 13th or 14th. And we had thought, and this might be a naive thought, but I've moved numerous times. Rebecca's moved to get, like, we've had to move in and out of apartments from U of I and like my apartments and stuff. So we've done it. Obviously, we've done it with a lot less stuff, and we just throw our stuff in our cars and we deal with it ourselves. But we also have had like 2 or 3 moves where we've used movers.
Yeah.
When we came to LA for the first time, and then when we moved from one apartment to the other. So we had experience with it. And therefore I thought that because we had packed so much that I didn't think clutter would have to pack that much at all. Like I thought that they would just wrap the furniture,
and put it in a truck and be done.
Yeah, and then that would be it. And then they would just take the boxes that we had already pre-packed and everything. Because we had boxes and boxes in our apartment. Like, at least, I think, like 40 boxes. Yeah. Like 40 or 50 boxes. But they show up, and they're super nice. I'm not bashing the 2 people that specifically showed up because they killed it.
Yeah, they really did.
But the service is pretty much they pack every single thing. So the boxes they didn't pack, but if something wasn't already in a box, it could be a tiny little mug or this table
or like a painting that was also
anything. They would have to like saran wrap it and then put carpets around it and then these little cardboard squares, and then they'd have to like log it in their system. And long and the short, what I thought would take like maybe 3 to 4 hours max, because they also showed up early. They showed up at like 7:30. Yeah. And so I thought, oh, we're definitely driving to Arizona today. That was my hope, was that they would come early enough, they'd take everything, and then we would drive. And for those who don't know, LA to Tucson is like an 8-hour drive. Like realistically, it's like 9 to 10 hours if you're going to stop and get gas and so on. So I was thinking, okay, 3 or 4 hours, they'll bang it out, and then we'll be on the road. Hasta luego. That was not the case
Yeah.
at all. They ended up staying till 6:30.
So like 12 hours. I mean,
Well,
11,
yeah.
but like more or less. Because by the time that they actually left our apartment complex, it was
It
around
was 6.
7.
It was, yeah, it was like 6:30, 6:45. It was long.
It was very long.
Again, very long for the two guys that were actually doing a lot of the work,
Yeah.
most of the work, if not all of it. Like they moved a ton, they grinded their ass off, they killed it. But my point is, and we kind of had some thoughts, we talked about this afterwards. There definitely should have been more people.
Yeah.
At least 3, I think 4.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff we had was really big. I let them know ahead of time too. Like
sure.
we had a lot of stuff, specifically some big items, and then they only sent 2 guys. And I feel like,
I mean, bless them, but they needed more people.
yeah, because again, they were dripping by the end of this.
Yeah.
Like
It was insane. Like to the point where one guy was just like, and we lived in a place with no elevator, and they knew this too.
Yeah.
So like in our mind, we're like, they should, bring a bunch of
no
people.
elevator, 3rd floor.
They were like a single individual. This guy was like on that trolley thing that they move boxes and stuff. He just like by himself put our giant ass couch on it and like full on squatted this super heavy. I was like, this is incredible. Like I was like, what the hell am I doing just standing here? But it was an incredible like job by these 2 individuals, but they definitely, I think the service could have done better and gotten them out quicker, but
Yeah. So again, that was one of my complaints, was just like they should send more people, and for the betterment of their employees
Yeah.
and for their customers, it's a lot less time and less work for the guys.
yeah.
Just makes sense to me. I get it because they're gonna, they can spread themselves out more, but they're spreading themselves, I think, too thin.
Yeah.
The other really big problem that we had on that same day, obviously we didn't go to Arizona, but they could not take our bed frame, which was a big problem. So I bought electric bed frame years ago. That it was paid off. Like I bought it with the mattress we had. It was a super nice bed. We really like it. And all it is it reclines up and down, and it like massages, like vibrates.
I mean, it's a little fancy, a little posh, but
Yeah, but it's not like anything. It's not like a medical
Yeah.
bed or something like that.
it's a leisure
Yeah.
bed.
They were not able to take it because it was electric. It was nowhere I could find on the website. We called them and they were like, yeah, we don't take those. And it was like, would have been nice to know that. And so we kind of started scrambling. It was like 1:30 or something or actually, you know what? It was like 2:30, 3 o'clock, because around 1 is when we were like, we're not going to Arizona.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like 3, and we were thinking these guys would be out of here soonish. Obviously they weren't till 6:30, but we're like, can we sell this? Can we give it to someone? Like anything, because it's not cheap.
No.
We're talking thousands of dollars that this thing was. And we even thought, can we tow this thing to Arizona? Can we put it in a different storage unit? We went through all the options, and long and the short, putting it into storage didn't make sense. If we wanted to spend the amount of money it would have cost us to put it into storage, we could just buy a new one when we get back.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty much equivalent and not worth the stress. Couldn't find anyone to give it away to, and we couldn't tow it because neither of our cars had a
towing
hitch
Yeah.
hitch hatch thing. So we had to leave it there.
Yeah, we left it.
And we don't, so like, this is obviously new knowledge to us of the past couple of days. We don't know. We left a note that pretty much said, if we couldn't take this, if anyone on the maintenance staff or anyone that is going to be in the apartment next wants this bed frame, please give it to them. Please, we'd like to donate it to someone who's going to use it, versus just having them come in and throw it out.
Yeah, what a sacrilege.
Yeah.
Because they do that, right? Like, they just put it in the trash, and here's this, like, uber nice and expensive
Yeah.
bed frame.
Because you're not supposed to leave things in the apartment.
Yeah.
So
We ran the risk of potentially being fined.
yes. And then the other day though, because we weren't thinking we were going to get our deposit back, it wasn't anything crazy. It was like $500 or whatever, and we were waiting to see if we were going to get charged. And each day we hadn't heard anything, so we were like, all right, maybe we're in the clear. But then we ended up getting the deposit back, which actually makes we think that they did get it,
Yeah.
and that we'll never really know, but
Yeah.
we think it went to someone.
Yeah, we hope so. Like the guys there, I mean, they're men and women. The people that work as maintenance were bomb. Like the part of the UCLA staff, they work so hard. The maintenance is probably better than any other apartment I've ever lived in. I'm talking like 24 hours, 48 max. They'll like repair anything. And like by the time like we lived there for 2.5 years almost. Was it 2.5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like normally, I mean, at the time George was working at Target, so pandemic, here I am, and they would like you form relationships with them. So by everything being so stressful about what we were going to do with the bed frame, ultimately leaving it there and hoping like, this will go to somebody who actually needs it, deserves it, like it's better than trying to sell it or like try to make money off of it. And who cares? Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
bed frame. What are you gonna do?
Again, stress is not worth it.
Yeah.
And initially we were pretty bummed about it, but I'm gonna be happy if it goes to someone that's gonna use it. Like
Yeah.
that, like we still used it for years, and it's not the end of the world. There could have
Yeah.
been way worse things. But yeah, so then eventually they leave at 6:30. We get ourselves our last vegan meal in LA.
Oh yeah, we
At
had
stage.
sage. That was nice.
That was very nice. We much needed after the end of that day.
Yeah.
And then we slept on the ground because we weren't able to leave that day, and we just slept on the ground.
On a nice carpet that was pretty damn hard.
Yeah, really hard. But then we woke up and left on the Friday.
Yeah,
It was
Friday.
definitely a Friday, and the we've done that drive before, but the difference is we did it in the same car. We were together. This time we had to drive to each of our cars, and both cars were filled to the brim
Yeah.
of boxes and stuff that we were taking to.
It was very stressful.
Yeah.
I didn't think the cars were going to be that packed, but they
Yeah.
really were.
Another thing we underestimated,
I know.
because I knew it was gonna be a lot, because we did have to have like all four of our suitcases filled with stuff. We had other what is it called, carry-on luggage that we had to
Yeah.
bring, and then we had boxes of kitchen stuff and tech stuff that we had to bring. So I knew it was gonna be a lot, but I didn't think it would like really get up there. And I have a few pictures that you can probably look back on our Instagram.
This is like how much space we had. To
yeah,
look
like
through
a
our back
a
window.
little square to look through. But after 10 hours, we made it
Yeah,
to Arizona,
thankfully safe and sound. No issues.
safe and
on that.
sound. Rebecca's parents helped us unpack the cars like almost right away.
Yeah.
We were able to kind of made like a mini home there for that week we were
Yeah,
there.
which was nice.
Luckily, there's like a whole room and separate space that we were able to kind of make our own a little bit. So like all of our, like Rebecca was saying, all of our kind of seasonal clothes are there, and pretty much all of our closets and shoes. And it was nice to be able to get that
Yeah.
set up, be done with the storage, and just kind of be like, I think the hardest part's over. And then I kind of underestimated again how stressful it would be to pack for Mexico.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into that? Because you were a little stressed out about that.
About packing for Mexico?
Yeah, like by the end of that, because we kind of relaxed a little bit, took a few days, but then, and by that I mean like we just didn't do any packing stuff.
But like, here's the thing. Just like disclaimer. I mean, by this point in my life, I feel like I only really talk to you. But like a few people in my life may know this. But my parents are like, go, go, go. We must do everything. George's booty is in the they're probably the most active people I know. I don't know. They're just super active. But we're visiting my parents. We're unpacking everything. And this is like the first 2 days we're there. That takes us like a little bit. And so as we're unpacking, like I don't, it's just so complicated because as for unpacking, like my parents' apartment, like the way that my mom will always have rooms for us children. It's myself and my brother. She has like these shrines for us, which is really nice.
I think it's great.
It's
like
amazing. Like
it's because they've also moved kind of a lot, and
yeah, they
and
have.
it's pretty great that they've kept the stuff from so long ago.
Yeah, they really have like specifically for my mom, she like kept all of our childhood things for the most part, and each room is almost like a bit of a replica from our very like our childhood home, which was mainly in this small suburban Downers Grove region and the suburbs of Chicago. And that has like continued. They moved to El Paso and then Laredo, and then now they're in Tucson. And so we moved into like what is my room with my giant quinceañera picture. And we started unpacking everything, and I quickly realized I was like, damn, like how we have to make decisions about how we're gonna leave everything in their home. And my mom, especially, like, I mean, anybody would want to know this. If you're gonna unpack stuff there, you also have to consult with them about how you want to leave this stuff in their home.
Yeah, and she was super like
Yeah.
helpful, and we're super grateful to be able to have even that kind of space.
Yeah, 100%.
Because again, some people don't like.
I mean, no, people don't have these options. Like,
Yeah.
and this is a whole other thing about like how these programs in graduate school are not really geared for like a domestic life. Like, they're very much like this bachelor kind of lifestyle, but that's a whole other
We'll get
discussion.
Because it's a pretty deep one that we can
Yeah.
get into. But yeah, I mean, Rebecca's parents were super supportive of letting us kind of do whatever we want in terms of putting the space there, and your mom was super flexible, and so we got to a great place. I feel like with the closet and stuff with all our clothes, and we fit everything pretty much in that room. But what I'm bringing up is when we
get there.
well, you weren't though.
It was a long form because I'm getting to it, babe. Like, just kind of like bear with me.
Okay, well, by the end of the week, what?
Let me talk.
Okay, go.
I'm just getting there because we're talking about all of these amazing things, but also like they take time to describe, but although truthfully, like I talk a little bit too scatterbrained, but we're with my parents. We're putting all this stuff away. And at the same time, they want to like spend time with us because we're going to be gone. We don't know when they're going to like visit us. And they're also like, my dad is newly retired, which is a whole other beast. But to the point that Jordan's talking about, like me being stressed out by the end of it, it was 100% being stressful because we had to unpack everything and then repack everything and also deal with like a family dynamic that is also changing simultaneously. So we're going through our own personal stresses of like moving and just like trying to understand like, oh my God, like, okay, we have 3 days until our life is about to change kind of radically. And my parents are like living their everyday life, but still adjusting to life where they're both at home. Because my dad was always at the hospital and now he's like all the time at home. But it's fine. Like, I'm super grateful, overwhelmingly so. Like, we don't have to worry about that stuff. But that was something we didn't anticipate to deal with. And it sort of slowed us down and made us, especially me, deal with some emotions I didn't think I was going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had to the unpack repack thing. Like, we were able to in LA just kind of push to the side making decisions of what we're bringing to Mexico because we could bring it all to Arizona. So we kind of just like pushed aside that stress and then had to reopen it when we actually had to pack for Mexico. And we had bought a luggage weight from Target or something, and super glad we did. But it also was super stressful just because we had to constantly figure out being under 50 pounds. And literally, we probably unpacked, repacked the suitcases like over a dozen times.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, it was so stressful. Well, that was very true, yeah.
Because when we first did it, we kind of just like, what do I want to bring? Boom, 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 boom. And we weighed it after. And it was like way over. Like, we're talking like 70 pounds. Like, all of them were over like 65, 70 pounds. And we were like, and technically you can get away with that, but it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we were trying to avoid that. So we're like, all right, now and I'm glad we did do it that way because you get everything in that you want. You make kind of like your initial sacrifices of like, I don't need this, I don't need that, and then when you've got everything you want in front of you, then you just have to start taking things away.
Yeah.
But it was like very, like it was like down to the wire.
Yeah.
Like it was very
like down to
particular.
a couple pairs of pants or
Yeah.
like a hat here or transferring it to like the carry-on. Very small details.
Yeah. And then it just like, I would say for me, the whole like packing the apartment and clutter was like the most stressful thing. But then very soon after it would be the Mexico packing.
Yeah.
Like driving to Arizona is like
That's
whatever.
pretty easy.
Even flying to Mexico is like whatever.
Yeah.
Even though we're stressed about that, and we'll get into that, but the Mexico packing was very stressful. Like it was days where we
Yeah.
were like, I gotta repack my suitcase and see
Yeah.
what I can do. And like I feel like from way long time ago, like months ago, I feel like I made a lot of big sacrifices, but it was just because I was like naive as to what I could bring. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna bring my PC, which is like this huge, big thing, and then I was like, I'm gonna bring all this tech. I'm gonna bring that. I'm gonna bring this, and you were even supportive of it. But then eventually, like months before, I was like, I don't think I can bring this PC. Like the PC I'm talking about is like a regular desktop PC. It's like really big, and I don't even know.
It's also like a gaming one though too.
No, I know it's a nice one. I didn't want it to break.
Streaming.
I didn't want it to, because it's not just that. Like you also need the monitor and you need all these wires and stuff. So I was just like, I can't see a way where this works well. Like I could ship it, but I risk breaking it, probably breaking it, and I could make a new one like that came up, and I was just like, it's not gonna be worth it. But I think though closer to the actual Mexico packing, I feel like you made the most sacrifices.
Oh,
Just in
kinda
terms,
nice.
just in terms of like when we're in Arizona and we're trying to pack this stuff. Like there was a lot of kitchen stuff that you wanted to bring but you couldn't bring.
Yeah.
There was, I feel like, a good amount of clothes that you wanted to bring that you couldn't
Yeah.
bring.
If anything, I feel like I brought too many clothes, but ultimately that just goes to show what I
Yeah.
prefer. But
But even like cookbooks, like you brought like what,
Oh.
like two?
my heart is broken. Yeah,
You brought two, and we probably have 30.
maybe even more
Like
than
40?
that. Yeah.
And like for me, I was just going back and forth on like little things. Like being here now, I wish I brought more clothes and like less of some of the other stuff I
Yeah.
brought. And these are things
Mine's vice versa.
yeah, like you've brought, well, what would you take away
Well, because
and
like
add
I
clothes?
brought a lot of clothes, and like in my mind, now that I'm thinking of it, I was like, I should have just packed 10 shirts, 10 pants, and like reworn them every week. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm
I
doing.
know,
'Cause
I know that's what you're doing. It's just like that's how I packed for France when I went over there. That's a whole other story. But like here, I think I was like I brought blazers and like a bunch of shoes. To be fair, like we kind of need some of those things in case like special events come up,
Yeah.
and like if we want to like go on a date, that's not us wearing a t-shirt, which is what we normally wear. But I don't know. I feel like I brought perhaps too many clothes. But and that just goes to show, I think that's more telling of like what I really value. And that's my kitchen. Like these, and I still feel anxious because I don't feel our kitchen is stocked enough. It's hard. Like it's really hard for me. Like I think my brain is basically like food, history, and like exercise. Like that's like mainly besides like our life.
Yeah.
And so that's just been a little tough. And I think I wish I would have brought more of like the kitchen stuff because we have had to rebuy some things. But going back to like the bed issue of like leaving things behind, we're rebuying some of those kitchen utensils. But I still think like I was on the phone with my mom and she's like, why are you rebuying things only to just leave them in Mexico? And I'm like, who cares? Because ultimately we're helping our host, who is extremely nice and wonderful. And hopefully it helps out the people that later rent this Airbnb after we've moved out in November. So It's not a big deal. It's just like a lot of self-discovery, but now we know what to do for Spain.
Yeah,
So,
and the future, like
yeah.
like it's very telling in general, because like I'll be fine with the clothes I have. Uh, I'll just have to do more laundry than I anticipated. But
Or we could buy you some stuff.
or yeah, exactly. There's room there because I also like I was stressed in my head of like, we're making all these just barely under 50 pounds. We ended up having one be over because we couldn't get it that down.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's just put everything under 50 pounds and then one will be over. So we only have to pay the overage on one, which worked exactly as planned. But I was stressed out because I didn't want to have it be so close because that means we can't buy anything.
Yeah.
Like we can't get any new clothes or souvenirs or whatever. So I was stressed out about that during the packing as well. And that's another thing I probably will change for Spain is again, I'm going to bring probably a little bit less of this stuff, maybe a little bit more clothes, and hopefully have some wiggle room of what can I bring to, or what can I get in Mexico and Spain. I was going to say something about what you said and I forgot.
About knowing what I packed, kitchen stuff over clothes. You were vice versa.
Yeah, I don't know, I lost it. But eventually we were able to do it. Like I said, we had one be over, which I don't really regret.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy with the stuff we have here. Oh, I think I was going to say, because you brought up we bought some stuff. Like, it's like, you come into an Airbnb, right? Or a hotel or wherever you're going to stay. If you're there for an extended period of time, and this is my train of thought that I've had to kind of get Rebecca on board with, which she is now. We're here for 6 months. Like, that sounds like not a long time, and at the same time, a very long time. And when I think of the big picture, I think of our whole life when we're 40, 50, 80, and we think about our 6 months that we spend in Mexico City. I want to have the fond memories, and I want to remember us taking advantage of every single day. So if a little bit bigger garbage can helps us with that, or a little bit of kitchen utensils that we are double buying and we're going to leave here, or a coffee press, or a kettlebell,
all of which we have
all of which we've purchased this week, whether we take it or not, it's going to help each day be that much better.
Yeah.
And you got to find the balance, right? You can't just buy a bunch of stuff and waste your money, but things that you value. Like, I needed a pillow because I'm sensitive. I needed a nice pillow and the ones that were here weren't cutting it. So I got a new pillow.
You don't like those flat pillows, Georgie?
Doesn't work out for me.
He needs the posh microfoam or whatever the hell they're called.
Doesn't work out for me. Just like Rebecca can't operate in a empty kitchen.
Yeah.
And we've worked, like, a lot of the days this week have been making sure to stock the kitchen.
Yeah.
And, it's just stuff like that. And so I do think that that's something I value, and Rebecca does too now, and it's helped us. I can tell already. Like, we had coffee press coffee for the first time this morning, and just because of the way it's brewed or whatever, it's what we're used to.
Better.
It was better. It was more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And now we have that for 5 months and 20 days or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that was also something we've learned over the last week.
Yeah.
And just like we've learned a lot about, because we've been here, and we learned a lot about how I think we'll pack differently in the future, specifically for Spain, because it'll be like a replica trip in a different place. But yeah, then we left Arizona and we came here.
Yeah, we came here
on Monday.
The 23rd.
And that was kind of a wild experience as well.
That was crazy. That was really crazy.
Well, because also...
So we have to talk about Phoenix.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We flew out of Phoenix.
We didn't go out from Tucson.
And we were like, I don't know, not really thinking about it. We're like, oh, it's in the same state.
My dad was like, okay, for all the folks to just like cover the Arizona region, Tucson is more or less about an hour and 30, an hour 45, depending on where you live in Tucson, to Phoenix. So that's kind of a long-ish drive.
It's 2 hours from where we were.
It was 2 hours. And so we left, our flight on the 23rd was at 10 a.m. And my dad, the original plan was let's just get up really early on that Monday morning, drive at like 6 a.m. and get to the Phoenix airport at 8 a.m. and then get on the flight and all this stuff. I think total we took about 300 pounds worth of packed stuff in our luggage. So it was a lot of stuff. And in the middle of the week, George and I just kind of looked at each other and we decided this isn't going to work. This is going to be way high stress to try and leave because we have very rigid morning routines. And quite frankly, I'm not willing to really budge in my morning routine. I should be more flexible about it. But
Well, it's the morning routine, but for me, because I am a little bit more flexible,
yeah.
For me, it's a matter of the probability of something going wrong is way higher if you leave from Tucson the day of.
Yeah.
Like,
for an early flight. If it's later in the day, fine. But...
yeah, if it's later in the day, but we're talking about 10 a.m. It takes 2 hours to get to the Phoenix airport from Tucson. And if you leave at 6 a.m., then sure, you might, like the earliest you get there is 8 a.m.
Yeah.
We had to get all of the luggage sorted,
Yeah.
which we were worried about. We had to get to the internet. We'd never been to the Phoenix airport. We had to get to this international flight and just make it, get food hopefully on time,
Yeah.
and too many different things.
Check all of our bags, which
Yeah.
honestly was not that stressful. The most stressful bit really was transferring the bags from the location to the location. So like from the Uber at the airport to the actual line, like it's a lot of shit, but we did it. It was yeah.
Well, yeah, so that's where we were like, let's go stay in Phoenix overnight.
Yeah.
We'll pay for it or whatever. And we know how we operate, and that was how we wanted to do it. And luckily, Rebecca's family was on board. They drove up, we packed up their car to the brim with all these suitcases. We drove all together to Phoenix the day before. Stayed in a hotel that was right by the airport, like 7 minutes walking. And
Maybe not walking.
or 7 minutes driving, or I don't know. It was very close, but it was a huge success though, because then we went to bed.
Yeah.
And I was able to actually see a friend in Phoenix. Shout out, Shep.
Shabababa. I love Shabababa. I've never met you, but I think you're fantastic. I watch your streams when George watches
Cody?
them. Yeah, you're funny, Cody. I like you. Come visit us in Spain.
Yeah, so...
And we got Portillo's.
Also, I was able to meet him. We were able to get Portillo's and try a vegan hot dog, which we had never tried. Like, Portillo's is huge in Chicago, so we grew up on it. And since being vegan, you can't really eat anything there besides the fries, right?
Yeah.
And so...
I worked there also.
Yeah. So, yeah, we discovered there's a vegan dog there, and we ate Portillo's. And all of that was the day before. It was great. And then day of, we were able to wake up, we got up at like 4?
Yeah, 4 a.m.
4:20
4
or whatever.
a.m.
Yeah. We were able to get a workout in.
Yeah.
We're able to, shower and be ready to go. And then we discovered there was a shuttle from the hotel, which was great because we didn't want to, again, we had a ton of suitcases. So you need like a big car.
An Uber XL.
Yeah. And so we were like super happy about having a shuttle because you don't have to pay for it. And the lady was super nice because we had like a billion suitcases and they had already had people in the shuttle when we got down. So she was like, let me just drop these cats off and I'll come around and then just take you guys.
Yeah. And one other guy.
Well, yeah, only because he was going to American though.
Yeah.
So like they were being super nice and it made for a much smoother airport experience.
Yeah.
Like we killed the airport experience.
Yeah.
Like we went in, we got the luggage trolley thing.
Yeah.
We went and checked the bags. It was as expected.
Yeah.
Luckily, like our luggage thing that we had at home obviously worked.
Really
because,
accurate.
Yeah, they were all like 50 on the dot, if not a little lower.
Invest in one if you travel a lot. It's so great.
Yeah.
And it's like $10.
Yeah,
it's like
not
no money. Yeah.
It was super worth it.
Yeah.
Very much helped with the organization of it all. Otherwise, we easily would have been over on all 4.
Oh yeah. It was a disaster.
And then I got you some vegan food.
Yeah, we had some like burrito bowls.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we flew out.
Yeah, we arrived here in Mexico.
Mexico City. We arrived.
Yeah.
And it was for me, it was the initial landing of it all, because the one thing that we were very focused on when we first got here, I mean, I would say there's two things. One, getting all the luggage safely and just making sure we had all our bags. Two, and this isn't in any order because two is probably more important. We really wanted to make sure when we got through customs that we were going to be able to stay as long as we needed to stay. Because technically here in Mexico, the rule is if you're staying less than 180 days, you don't need any specific type of visa. You just have to be able to,
Explain why
explain
you're here.
why are you going to be here that long.
And we knew prior to they had advised me that some Fulbright fellows had not been given the determined amount of time that they needed to stay in country. So we had to go through this whole process, but ultimately it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, they give you kind of like a fear, like and I'm talking about the Fulbright people, not Mexico. They give you kind of this impression of like, hey, you might not get the 180 days. You're gonna have to do all this other stuff, and you'll have to come to the U.S. and go back, and I don't know, all this stuff. And so it kind of stressed us out of, we got to the point where we were like, the rule is the rule. If we're nice and we have all the prepared documents,
the
to
documents
explain,
was key. Like people love documentation here.
So Rebecca and I printed out our Airbnb. We printed out our return flight. We printed out the Fulbright documents that Rebecca had proving that she got this award and that she needs to be in the country for a certain amount of time. We printed out a whole bunch of stuff.
And ultimately, it was the letter from the professor here in Mexico City that was like the key to coming in. So like this is a whole other thing, but when you talk, I mean, it's like this in any country. I think it just depends on like your visa rules. But like it was a single document out of all of these options that guaranteed us the entry that we needed.
Well, and I think
So
it depends on what you initially say.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's because I said like I'm here for my dissertation research, and he's like, okay, well, like prove to me like the dissertation stuff.
So they're asking for the proof.
It made more sense, but had we said like vacation or travel, like the flights would have been better. So you really have to think about like, and quite frankly, I didn't think about what I was going to say to the customs officer. So I'm just glad we had a bunch of paperwork because we could have proven our stay no matter what we had
in
said.
a variety of ways. Because again, we came prepared.
Yeah.
So luckily we did get the full amount. Like we don't have to do anything else. Like we're good with that. Spain obviously is a different beast that we'll figure out later. But so those are the two big things we were worried about. But the initial shock I had was and I kind of knew this going into it, was just the zero English speaking people around. Like a lot of these folk probably did speak English, but none of them were speaking English. They were all speaking Spanish.
To be fair, I approached him in Spanish.
No, I know. But again, it doesn't matter. None of them were speaking English. So if you approach them speaking English, there probably is someone who can help you. But I was just letting you run with it because you're the one who has, like, you're the reason we're here anyway. So it needed to come from you, not from me. But that was the first initial shock I had. Because I was I'm used to always... I don't want to say take lead because we do a lot together, but like I pretty much was helpless in the situation. Like you had to take lead.
I'm typically very introverted, and we have swapped roles a little bit since being here. Like, not to be like, it's just the way I kind of naturally am. I still always will be an introvert, but like when you go to a different country and your significant other, your partner, your friend speaks the home tongue, kind of naturally like are forced to do things. And to be fair, I've always kind of like had this intermediary role because my family also speaks Spanish often, and it's just easy for me to translate for George. But upon arrival to the airport, it was like a quick switch. Like I am now the translator, I am now the leader not the leader, but like in a way,
you're
directing
taking lead.
us.
Yeah, you're taking lead of the conversation and the dynamic a little bit.
And George is the muscles.
Because what am I gonna do? Like I can't. I'm not going to try to speak to someone in English if, one, they don't speak English, or two, if they're more comfortable speaking Spanish, I'd rather have them speak with you versus any sort of ego thing with me, like speak with me just because, like that doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So like
And they appreciate it a lot more when it's in Spanish.
yeah, exactly. It's like, again, I say this numerous times. We're both guests here, so like I'm not gonna act like I deserve anything or anyone should act a certain way because I don't
Yeah.
speak Spanish. But that was definitely an initial shock for me. Just like, if you've never, like, I've been around Spanish speakers because of Rebecca's family, because of where I worked in LA, and I love it. Like, I comprehend a lot of things in Spanish conversations, but I can't really participate yet. Um, and so I can understand what's happening, but if someone says something to me, I don't know, I'm not going to be able to respond. And so just kind of feeling helpless
Yeah.
initially was a little stressful. And it's after a long day too, right? Like flying all the way over here and waking up early. But Rebecca got us through.
Yeah.
We got all our bags. We got what we needed with the 180 days.
Got in the Uber.
We got our Uber, who was super nice.
Yeah. He
And
was a sweetheart. He
we
was
met our Airbnb host,
also
who
amazing.
also was amazing,
So kind.
and got into our home and unpacked.
Yeah.
And again, it was a stressful day.
Yeah.
But what's very interesting is, like, I'm looking around the apartment now, and like I remember coming through the door with all our luggage uh and our host, and I already feel a lot more comfortable and homey here
Yeah.
than I did obviously day one because
Yeah,
it's a new
yeah.
scary place. But um once we unpacked, we were still very stressed,
Yeah.
but it was also kind of like a huge relief that we put away the luggage. We don't have to do any packing
Yeah.
anymore. We don't have to deal with anything. Like, we don't have to do anything. Like,
Yeah.
we just have to get used to being here, and
Yeah,
that's it.
absolutely. Which is honestly a big relief because it's like at least the heavy hitting stuff, like the physical stuff, like moving is done for
Mm-hmm.
this bit. Now it's like acclimating to the culture, which is a different sort of, and each person adapts to a culture differently. So like George already feels a little bit more acclimated. I am a homebody and like it takes me a little longer. But we'll get there. That's like a whole different beast.
Yeah, it's just like, again, going into like my initial impressions a little bit. Like, I think we were both stressed out. Uh, we said this earlier, like not having certain things,
Yeah.
especially food. So like, going through the motions of getting all that, I feel a lot better now. And like I just said, but in terms of my overall initial impressions, Rebecca can attest to this. I obviously don't speak Spanish, like I said, and so I can't really participate in a lot of things. But when I started my Spanish lessons, that I'm really excited about. And two, I've enjoyed like every day here. Obviously, it's been stressful. Like yesterday, I was like super grumpy, and like like there was a different day, like 2 days before that, where I straight up passed out, like, and like not passed out, but like had an unplanned nap
He was so tired.
because
Yeah.
I was exhausted, and so a lot of that stuff, just because you're going through the motions, will catch up to you. But in terms of my general like emotional feel and just like how I'm doing here, I really like it. Like, I think big picture, I think about our whole trip,
Yeah,
and I'm
100%.
trying to take every day and just take advantage of every day, and I feel like we have.
Yeah. We've already done so much. Like, if you think, because we unpacked, that's one thing, but we didn't unpack and then just sit down. Like, we normally unpacked and then went to the grocery store. And by going to the grocery store, you're doing something. Or we unpacked and, like, we had work done in the apartment already. Like, they put up new blinds, we got a filter, so we were present for that. We've done touristy things. Like, we already ordered, like, really good vegan food. We
Yeah.
visited a place yesterday.
A few times.
We've already done, like, a bunch. And it's almost like we have the personalities where we berate ourselves because we think we're not doing enough. But when you look back at just how much you've done in the past month, nonetheless a week, I think we should be kinder to ourselves.
No, for sure. I mean, like, even today, it's like we're not doing anything today. We're relaxing, but we're doing this
I
podcast,
know.
which takes work.
But it's
like-
fun.
No, it's fun, and I get it, but yeah, we've done a lot, and we will have moments, like we've had moments already, where it's going to be amazing, and there's going to be moments where we're upset or stressed, And I think that's just the nature of this type of experience,
Yeah.
um, especially in a different country. Uh, like, not only is the country and the culture one thing, but we're also like alone here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that we're not
But
because
we're kind of are.
we're not, but we are because we're hoping to make friends here and like a part of the community that Rebecca is involved in, and even like the host is super nice. And
Yeah, she's really
not
great.
saying we're gonna hang out with her, but you know,
I would rent from her again.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's how nice of an impression she has had. So
And it's only like I said, it hasn't even been a week,
yeah,
so but overall, so far, I think Mexico's been great.
yeah,
Like, I've only been to Mexico once. I went to Monterrey.
yeah. We went together right
We
away.
went together with Rebecca's family, and I love that experience. It's a little bit different,
It was also
but
much shorter.
it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot shorter. We're talking about like a day. Like it wasn't. It
2 days.
was like a day or 2 days or whatever.
Yeah,
It was not anything big, but that's my only other Mexico
yeah.
experience. So here, in Mexico City, like it's a massive city. It kind of reminds me of like New York energy, but it's spread out like Los Angeles. Like it's just like constant people. Like there's a lot of people.
Yeah, and like it goes on. Like it
It's
sprawls
just
onto the mountains. It's the huge place.
yeah, it's just constant, and I don't know. It's just been really cool. We've had some amazing food.
Yeah.
The metro here I really like. And like Rebecca said, we've done a lot already in a short amount of time, and everything we have done and the neighborhoods we visited and the places we've gone to have all been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, not everything's perfect, right? There are some areas that you definitely want to try to avoid or just be more careful in. I think that's the nature of any country, specifically, though, the nature of any big city,
Oh yeah.
because there are bad neighborhoods in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. Like it's very similar like that. But yeah, I think we're liking it, right?
Yeah. I think it's already getting so much better. I like am always interested because I came here 3 years ago. So for me to see George so well suited, I'm happy. Like that's all I really want. And so I already came and visited Mexico and like only for 3 weeks, which is really nothing. Like if you're trying to like explore a place like this, it's no time at all. But I like it here. I enjoy the people. The food is so good. I can't tell you enough. If you're a foodie, come here and eat the food
Yeah.
because people know how to cook food really well. Whether you're looking for street food or high end, Mexico City is the place to come. And I think upon like my first impressions, like renewing it after, compared to the first time I came, it has helped doing more stuff initially. And I'm just so surprised as to like how many I think foreigners we've seen right away. I think last time I came it was just so work focused that I like only went out a couple times on the weekend. It was like a museum or I met people and we like went to Xochimilco or something. But here we're trying to do so much. And there's a lot of Americans and there's a lot of people from other countries that come and visit. It's predominantly Mexican, of course. And I think people should come because Mexico City is a hub for entrepreneurial like business. Like a lot of these big popular restaurants started off as little carts and they got so popular that they eventually bought like a brick and mortar. And it's just a cool place to be. And I'm really excited to continue exploring because we have so much to see from the city. It has so much to offer and it's really accessible. It's also close to the United States. So you guys all should come.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But we're excited. Yeah, we are hoping that going forward we will continue to do these Buenos Dias episodes
Yeah.
weekly. So like whether it's Saturday or Sunday, probably Sundays. Because again, not to like reiterate a bunch of stuff, but the reason we're here is Rebecca's got work to do. Like
Yeah.
she's gonna be at the archive, like 3 to 4, maybe 5 times a week. I don't know, but during the week we're gonna be working, and I'll be posting my videos that I've been doing, but our weekly podcast will definitely be on the weekend, and then hopefully the other day we'll do some sort of excursion uh, each week.
Yeah. Anything from like as simple as going out to eat or doing something touristy, like Also, oh, side note, Mexico City is the home to the most museums in any city in the whole world. So like that's incredible. So we have a lot of museums to pick through. So just doing something every weekend, I think will like, help us take advantage.
Yeah.
But we do hope to do this and we continue to enjoy it and we're going to share our experience. And like, I know it's like the first 2 episodes, so like we're not getting a lot of comments, but like for those of you who have questions or like want us to feature something, let us know because that also gets us to do something that we're not thinking about doing. And we would just like love to hear everyone's feedback because of what you personally heard about the city or like what your interests are. And we can do something for you because we have the boots on the ground here. So, yeah.
Yeah. Even if you're not watching this live, these are up after the fact. So if you leave a comment, we will see it. And like Rebecca said, we'll look into whatever those topics are and maybe talk about it in the next podcast.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great day.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Hasta luego.